Hi, everybody, and Happy New Year officially, and welcome back to Tips for Teens. I have a special guest with us today, Dr. Kandace Bethea. I'm
Good
so glad to
evening.
have you.
Well, good
first,
evening.
first, I'm going to make sure I share this on my other page. Anyone else, you're welcome to do the same. Give me just a moment. Candace Bethea. My phone want to be great and have feedback. Okay, Dr. Bethea, welcome
Yes,
officially to Tips for Teens.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I just have just a few questions for you before we get to the part about the tips for our teenagers today. But I want you to, if you could, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, first of all, I just want to congratulate you. One, I saw you in Diversity Magazine, and we just commend you on everything that you are doing. Just your commitment to investing back to our youth and to our community, and we commend you on that. And then I
Thank
just want to thank you for just letting me be on the show to share tonight. But I am a native of Marion County, born and raised in Marion County. I did live away for about 15 years and
you.
returned about 13 years ago. This is my 24th year in public education. My side joke
Ah.
is, I know I look 24, but this is my 24th year. No, teachers would say,
Wow.
no, you do not look 24. But
Wow,
this is
that's
my
amazing.
24th year in public education, and I have loved every last minute of it. I enjoy
Wow.
doing what I do. Um, my career started as an elementary school teacher, and so working
Okay.
with the smaller population, and been very fortunate to have different roles throughout my 24 years that I've been able to work with students at varying levels, from our 4K preschool students all the way up to our high school students. And so I just love working with children. I just love
Hmm.
working with our scholars. And so this has truly been a great experience. And I will say that my latter years being home back in my own community have been the most rewarding years of my profession, for the simple fact, when you're giving back to your home, when you're giving back to the people that have given so much to you, and I know I'm not in tips, but that's a tip.
Yeah,
You never
right.
forget from which you come.
That's true.
You never forget your humble beginnings. And so I'm
Right.
just grateful to be back full circle where I
Right.
started back in Marion County.
Yeah, so you bleed auctioneer, huh?
Yes, yes, yes. But I have become a swamp fox and a warrior too.
That's true. That's true. I don't want to start a war out
I
here.
have. And it's so funny because just I feel like I have connectivity with all three of our major communities. Of course, I was an auctioneer, graduated from Mullins High School. My
Hmm.
mom taught 20 years at Turtles Bay, which was before
Okay.
Creek Bridge. And then I've never worked in Mullins, Marion 2. My work was always Marion 1 when I first moved back. So I feel like I have a good grasp on all three communities
Right.
within the county. So it's a great experience.
That is true. You are connected with all three. I've seen you in all three areas. And
Yes.
congratulations to you as well. I saw you in the Diversity Works magazine. So
Yes.
congratulations. You're always doing great works.
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate that. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is what is one of your favorite things about working within the school district?
Well, my favorite thing is when you're able to help students tap into their potential. And what I mean by that, regardless of the level of the child, when you see that child makes progress from where they were to where
Mhm.
you're getting them closer to where you know they can be.
Right.
And just having that passion for the work. And so that's my favorite part. I love working with teachers. I love the administrative component of it. But at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road, in that classroom, up close and personal, working with those students. And so that's why I try on a regular basis, under normal circumstances, of always trying to be out in the schools, visiting
Right.
classrooms, and not forgetting, and that keeps me grounded on the purpose, because sometimes you can get so bogged down in the reports for the State Department, looking at this grant,
That's
paperwork,
true.
but you can't forget every piece of paper in that office ties back to a child. And so
Right.
sometimes you make sure you're out there. So just seeing students progressing, regardless,
Right.
they progress at different levels, but
Mm-hmm.
seeing students make that forward progression and getting them close to their goals.
Right. Yeah, that's a beautiful part. I enjoy seeing people flourish and transition as well. So I can definitely connect with you on that. We
Absolutely.
have faced some challenges, of course, due to the pandemic, and had
Mhm.
to shift to going virtual. What are some challenges that the school district has seen as a result of going virtual?
I think the technology piece has been our biggest barrier.
Mhm.
I call it in essence the access gap. Even
Okay.
though that we have been so fortunate to have a device in every child's hand, and
Hmm.
right now we are fortunate for many of our students to have those Wi-Fi's and so that they can connect. But
Right.
that's temporary. That's a temporary fix. And
Hmm.
I'll be honest, I do think that there has been some good out of the pandemic. I think it has forced us to shift. And
Right.
sometimes
That's true.
shifting is good. And
Hmm.
so I think with that shift, I think technology is going to be more and more embedded, and just making sure that the resources on the home front from a
Hmm.
technology and education perspective for all children are the same. And right now I know that that playing field is not the same. We have
Right.
students that didn't even need our device because they have their own desktop at their homes. We
Hmm.
had students who turned back in their Wi-Fi's because my home internet is better. Well, for some students,
Wow.
that Wi-Fi is the only option. And we have
Right.
students in some of the most rural communities in our county that even with the Wi-Fi, they still have to travel to get a signal, because as you know, those Wi-Fi's work off of cellular um, signals. And just like your
Right.
cell phone has those dead spots, those Wi-Fi's can have those dead spots too. So the
Hmm.
biggest challenge is that access gap, that technology piece, making sure that there's a level playing field and that all students have what they need. But I do
Right.
say that, stating that we have made provisions for students that do have connectivity issues. We
Hmm.
still have packets that are available, but the
Right.
reality of it is I want the playing field level. I
Right.
want every child, when we're having virtual classes, to be able to look at that teacher on their screen in their home. I
Yeah.
will say that we're very fortunate that our county is making some strides. They partner with HTC, which is
Hmm.
a telephone company out of Horry County,
Hmm.
and they are putting Wi-Fi right now. Well, they finished the first phase in December
Hmm.
in the southern part of our county, near the Brits Neck area, and so we hope to see
I gotta
phase
put
two
a
and phase
celebration
three.
for that.
Oh my
That's a
goodness.
big deal.
That is a big deal. That is a big deal. So we're
Yeah.
now looking forward to other phases of that particular initiative as well.
Right. Wow. And I hope that that transition continues to be smooth. I know that there's a gap as well, as relates to some students and their parent or guardians level of understanding, as far as
Mhm.
with technology. And then there's some students who are having to adjust. And one of the things that I've shared with an associate recently is that students would have to think about this as a culture shift, because when we
Mhm.
are home, at the end of the day, when we go home, this is our place where we can rest. We can throw everything down and not
Mhm.
think about anything. So having to, even when I worked from home, I had to say, okay, let me get up, let me get dressed, because I am working, compared to I can't lay in the bed and work and look around.
Exactly.
So that's hard, I'm sure, for students to make themselves have that mindset change and that culture shift. So,
Mhm.
if there's a student who is struggling with their work, is there any resource that they can tap into after
Ab-
school or after class?
Well, two things. First, one thing that we've been doing is each morning tapping into the social emotional piece, making sure
Mhm.
that our teachers are not just focusing on the academics, that in this type of environment, it is so more critically important that we're also finding out what's wrong with that child. Because is it that the child is just being lazy? Is it that the child just is not doing, or is there something going on in the home life? Is there a reason why the child has been up all night where they're not tapping in or need that motivation? So we do have that social emotional learning requirement that every teacher has to do on a daily basis. We have class in terms of direct instruction 4 days a week. And this is the same model that is being used by many districts throughout the state during this virtual time. For us, Fridays are intervention days. I'll give you an example, for instance, like Creek Bridge, because I'm on their email for their intervention group. So it goes out earlier in that week. Ms. Ford, here are the students that you will be providing small group interventions with on Friday, and then they're scheduled for a particular time. We have some of our staff members, even when we're not on site, there have been times where teachers, and especially whether it's our special services teachers and some general ed, have asked, hey, can I just have one child come in or two children come in? This child just needs to come in. And so that is also an option, because there's some kids that just need to come in and have that one-on-one work. And of course, safety protocols take place as well. And so every teacher too has office hours each day. And those office hours, those are times where parents can make contact. Those are times where students can make contact with questions or concerns that they have. One of the challenges is getting individuals to use the resources. to use the resources. Sometimes the resources are available, but using those resources. But Fridays are those opportune times where those small group sessions are happening. We are looking, we know, because you've always heard of the summer slide, but of course now they're talking about the COVID slide. And that's where students lose a little bit of their academic gains. Based on having, less instruction, the summer slide, because you're going months without instruction during the summer. But we already have been told that we are scheduled to get more CARES Act funds, with a lot of those funds geared toward interventions and support. And so I'm hoping to have a very active summer in the district with various programs. And our students are going to need that. They're truly going to
I agree. I certainly agree. And I love the fact that different aspects are included, the social emotional aspect. You're thinking about the child or the student as a whole, and not just focusing on the academics. Did you do your work or not? So I really love that. I love that part. What are some tips that you would like to share with our team today?
Well, let me tell you, as I stated earlier, being in this role in terms of an educator for 24 years and dealing with children, teenagers are a unique group. They are a very unique group, and they are very impressionable. And so I'm hoping that something that I say tonight will help them to just kind of sit and reflect on some of the things that they're doing. I do believe in being brief, so I think I have maybe 4 or 5 different points that I just want to bring to their attention, that we'll just call some life lessons. And with the first lesson, very simple, just telling students, especially teenagers, to be you. So often I see students that are trying to portray a certain image, or they're trying to display certain characteristics that are not naturally them. They're trying to be individuals to impress friends, to impress peers, and not often are those behaviors are on a positive. And I want to say that be you. If you have to change who you are to fit into a group, that's not the group that you need to be in. That is not the group. And you cannot measure who you are by someone else. That each of us, each of them are unique. Or I'm going to speak to our teenagers. Each of you are unique, and you're unique for a reason. And there's something about you that only you hold. And so we want to make sure that you're just thankful for who you are, and don't change who you are to impress others. Now we are constant work in progress. even at my age, I hope that I'm continuing to grow and improve. And that's a part of life. We may not be where we want to be right now. You may not be where you want to be right now, but in the same token, it's a process. But hold true to who you are and don't portray an image just to fit in with the group. Go find another group, because I assure you there's another group for you.
That's true.
Yes. Another tip, choose your friends wisely.
Yes.
Choose your friends wisely. Often adults will say, and I agree 100%, that there are two types of individuals: individuals that add to your life and those that subtract from your life. And what you want are people that are adding to you. If you find yourself with individuals that are constantly helping you get in trouble, that are constantly helping you make bad decisions, every time you make that bad decision, that's a subtraction, that's a deduction. Every time that you are not following the rules or doing what you're supposed to, that's a subtraction. So you want to make sure you have people that are helping you to make wise decisions. You want to make sure that you are with people that are holding you accountable to good standards.
Right.
And so only interact with those individuals that you know are worthy of interacting with you. Don't lower your standard. Make sure that they come up to don't you go to their standard. Make sure you raise them to your standard.
Right.
The next thing really has to do with the virtual world. As we just talked about, how we have transitioned in the education setting, where one time your home was the place where you sit down, relax, but now it's the place where you do business. In essence, and school is your business. School is your job, students. And so with you being virtual all day, you should be all day virtual, especially right now since we're not in a hybrid mode. So you should be in class. And you find yourself glued to devices, and when you finish with class, what are you doing? You're picking up the cell phone. You constantly, or you're on the iPad, you're on that tablet, and it's important sometimes just to take a break from the virtual world, because sometimes we get so caught up on the virtual world and playing. If you're not on the phone, if you're not on the device, then you're on your PS5 or your Xbox or your Switch. See, I know a little bit on those PlayStation Switches. And really, you're not interacting with individuals. And that communication is so important. When we talk about social emotional health, just interacting with people is a need. And interacting with a device all day is not going to benefit you in the long run. And because we can talk academics, and in our school system, I hope we're doing a good job of reaching you academically. But in the same token, if you don't have good social skills going into the real world and having to get a job or going into a career or college, regardless of how well you are academically, if you can't interact with people, is going to lessen your ability to be successful. So I do encourage you to make sure that you just take a break from the virtual world and just interact with family, interact with friends, and schedule it. And so it's not going to happen if you don't schedule it. I'm a person, I work by a schedule. When I get up, first thing when my eyes open in the morning, before I even get out of bed, most of the time I pick up my phone and I look at my calendar for that day. And in that calendar, normally, my goodness, this is this meeting, that meeting, I'm supposed to talk with that person. It is a calendar of just events. And I really just operate by that calendar. If I forget to put something on that calendar, or my assistant forgets to put that on the calendar, I'm going to be honest, it may not happen, because I'm so stuck to that calendar and that system. So sometimes you have to schedule those things. And what I mean by that, designate a time. If it's at 4 to 4:45 each day, you're just going to put down that device, talk to parents, talk to neighbors, talk to siblings, watch a good TV show, laugh together, but just get off of devices and spend time.
I like that, because that'll, that habit, that process will become a good habit for them, a good way of breaking away from the virtual world.
Absolutely. One of the other things to just want to remind teens that it's okay to have a bad day. it's okay to make a mistake.
Mhm.
None of us are perfect. There is no one walking on this earth that is perfect. But the tragedy is when you do not learn from the mistake, or when you don't
Sure.
grow from that disappointment. And
Mhm.
so, so often I do find teenagers that are hard on themselves. Unfortunately, mistakes are to be expected. And I'm going to
Yes.
repeat that. Mistakes are to be expected. It is a
Right.
part of life.
Mhm.
Um, and so don't be so hard on yourself. But when you have a mistake, or when you make a mistake, just reflect on it. What can I do next time so that I
Mhm.
have a different outcome? And
Right.
so I will say that youth are very resilient. You bounce back easy. And so making sure that you don't dwell on the mistake, because life continues, life goes on. And so,
Yes.
but again, that tragedy is not reflecting on a mistake, thinking what went wrong and how you can make it better the next time. And so I just encourage you to do that. And
Right.
also, in that same line, disappointments are going to happen in life
Yes.
as well. And so, even with disappointments, even though you're disappointed one time, don't give up. Continue
Yes.
to try, work even harder. I've since talking to teenagers, one of the greatest of all time. See, I'm with the time, is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. And and regardless of how many years it's been since Michael Jordan has put his feet on a basketball floor, on a gym floor, he still has such an impact on
That's so
young
true.
people today. And
Mhm.
we all know the story of Michael Jordan. I wish I should have brought the book in here with me. It's on my bookshelf.
Mhm.
I keep it on my home bookshelf as a reminder. And his book is called Salt in Your Shoes. And it
Mhm.
just tells the story of Michael Jordan, how many times he tried out for the basketball team and didn't make it, was cut.
Yeah.
And here we are. He hadn't touched a basketball court in 30 years, maybe.
They're
And
still
still
making
his
an
neck
impact.
still exactly. And is still making it. And so disappointments, I'm sure when Michael Jordan wasn't on that team, or was cut from that team time after time after time again, his
Yeah,
disappointment could have made him give up. I'm just not
that
going to
is
do
true.
this. And then he wouldn't be sitting there in that I don't even know the billionaire, zillionaire, what he is. It's
We're
beyond
gonna
my
say he's at
vocabulary.
least a millionaire.
I know, at least it's beyond my vocabulary. But I just say that to make a point. Disappointments are going to happen in life. Pick yourself up,
Mhm.
try harder. That's what a disappointment should make you do. You
Mhm.
should pick yourself up, try harder, and you show that disappointment that you can do better, is what you need
Right.
to do. One of the last things that I will share, and it's so important, is finding an accountability partner or a good mentor, one or the
Mm.
other. They're a little different and kind of the
Yeah.
same. But just having a good accountability partner, someone that you can talk to, someone
Mhm.
that is going to be real with you,
Mhm.
is going to celebrate you when you're doing well, but it's going to be honest with you when you're not doing well and
Right.
when you're not on track. And
Yeah.
someone that kind of just holds you accountable, that you can
Right.
share your goals, your aspirations with. But you need someone in your life that's going to constantly hold you accountable, someone in your life that's going to be that cheerleader, someone in that life that's helping to guide you. And
Mhm.
so that person can be young or old,
Mhm.
but everyone needs either a mentor or an accountability partner. And I
Right.
think that regardless of what age you are at, when I was working, I often tell this story when I have a lot of younger than I am, but sometimes we
Mhm.
have teachers that are going through administration programs, or we have people
Mhm.
that are going through different stages in post-secondary. And I do a lot of interviews and a lot of internships and things of that nature. And I
Right.
often share with them, they often say, getting through your doctoral program, what's some advice that you have? And I
Mhm.
always say have an accountability partner. And that was important for me because having such a stressful workload, there
Yeah.
were so many times, and at that particular time was my best friend. And I would
Mhm.
tell her, listen, I have this to do. I have to have this done by Friday. and now I need you to make sure I have this done. No matter what. And it was just like, it was like constant harassment Wednesday. So how far are you? Or just how far are you? Okay, now listen, you need to get this done. And that's what you need. You need those cheerleaders, somebody that when you want to slack off, they say, no, you're not going to slack off. You're going to get this done. You can get this done. You're going to get this done, and you can get it done. And so just finding someone that's going to be that support system for you. We all need an outlet. We all need someone to talk to, to share our aspirations with, as well as to share our challenges and disappointments with as well, and not keeping that bottled up. And I know I said that was the last one, but just one last thing. And I just encourage all of our students, sometimes just looking at report cards, sometimes looking at something in our district. There's a report where we can it's called a failure rate report, meaning that we can get a breakdown of students and their grades. And I just want to encourage our students. I am convinced that every child can learn, period. There's no one that can tell me anything different. You may learn differently, but every child can learn. And I just want you to take your education seriously. There are just times, even when I'm walking through a classroom and I'm looking at work being completed, looking at the handwriting, looking at the effort or that lack thereof. Give 100% all of the time. The choices that you make today have a direct impact on where you will be tomorrow. And so take your education seriously. The teachers are there for a reason, and that is to get you to another place, to make sure that you are progressing. Every child may not go to college. Some children may go into the military. Some children may go directly into workforce, into citizenship, regardless of what pathway. There's not, out of all those things that I named, none of them are a bad pathway, but one thing they all have in common: you need to have a solid foundation in education. So take your education, take your education seriously, because when you don't, it's a constant game of catch up. And so earlier I talked about not having a level playing field when it came down to the technology, but education is the place where everybody can have a level playing field. And it's up to you to get it. So
that is true. Every career, just like you said, started from some foundational level of education.
Absolutely.
So hats off to all teachers. They're true heroes.
They are true heroes. They are true heroes. They really are. Yeah. And so I know if I keep talking, I'll just keep going on and on. So I was gonna keep it short.
What platforms? Now I've seen you on platforms. What platforms can parents get information that they may need to know? I know we had, we get the phone calls about the reminders, but what other platforms?
And I have something that I do every week called Table Talk. And Table Talk is just an informational little segment. I try to keep it honestly under 10 minutes. It's just quick, talking about a happening. And then I have an email that will go directly to me and our PR director in the district, and it is called Table Talk at Marion.K12. And so if you have something that you want to see, something you want to discuss, I also have advisories. And if there's any parent that wishes to be on an advisory, please just email me, KBETHEA at Marion.K12.sc.us. Let me know that you're interested in being on one of the advisories. I have those.
Any qualification for being on the advisory?
A parent that wants to see children in Marion County School District be successful. That is the only criteria for that. You have to be a parent for the parent advisory. I do have student advisory. I actually have a student advisory coming up, and I think this particular advisory, last one I did was elementary students, and I think this one doing high school students. I try to do a different level each time. We're trying to figure out. I have something called living room listening sessions, which are probably my favorite advisories. And I'm just hopeful that I can start those back up again. And we've been trying to figure out a way that I can do it without my regular setting. But in living room listening sessions, I would go, for instance, if I said, well, Miss Ford, do you mind hosting a living room listening session for me? And then you would invite anywhere between 8 to 10 people. They can be your neighbors, church members. We come to your house on a given day, normally it's at 5 or 5:30. I only ask that you have some kind of punch. That's it. If you want to give a cookie, whatever, but just a punch. And I sit down with your group of 10 in your living room, and we just talk about anything your heart desire. Any question, there's no formal agenda. It is just, I give a little brief update. These are things that are happening in the district. These are our challenges. Okay, what are your concerns? Okay, what are some things you think we're doing well? And so it's just a very great conversation with stakeholders. And so, but of course, right now I have not, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, being able to go into homes to do that. And that was my way of reaching community. And I know you probably say, well, 10 people at a time isn't a lot, but you know what? Sometimes it's the small steps that you make the most progress. And so,
that's true.
Yeah. And so hopefully
and those 10 people can reach other people.
And they can reach other people. I did attempt, when we first had the pandemic, I attempted to do a virtual living room listening session. Did not have good attendance. And just virtual is not the same thing as being up close, sitting on your couch talking to you.
That's true.
So we're going to continue to work on that. So I'm trying to think other ways, parents, and they can always contact me in the office. In the office, email, and I'm going to be honest, they don't hesitate to contact me anytime that you see me out and about.
I believe that.
And I don't mind one bit. Because when
you wear many hats.
Yes, but when you have a question, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all, because that means you care and you're concerned.
That's true.
That's the way I take it, and so I don't ever shy away from that. I think that's it.
I think it froze. Well, I'm very grateful for you being here and sharing these tips for teens. I'm sure that there's a lot of parents that has received information from this meeting tonight as well. On another note, I must celebrate early. Tomorrow is our Founders Day. Happy Founders Day to you.
Well, to you as well. To you as well.
I just had to throw that in there.
Exactly.
So we're part of a great chapter, the Dylan Marion alumni chapter. I just had to throw that in there. So hats off to us tomorrow on our Founders.
Yes, tomorrow is a great day.
See, it is a great day. You know, we're going to be glossed up with our letters.
Yes. Yes. We should have scheduled this for Wednesday.
That's right. I would have had to change the background.
You're right. You are right.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Time is precious. And I appreciate you taking out the time to share with Beyond Empowerment, you know, with tips for teens. And I look forward to the great things that will continue to happen in Marion County School District. You guys are an awesome team.
Well, thank you.
What you're doing in the community.
Well, we are just as appreciative of you and the work that you're doing in the community too. All of your seminars with students, even after, you know, we were out of school for the pandemic, you having those virtual seminars, and just always thinking of things to engage the youth. And I just want to thank you for that, because we can't do this work alone as educators. It takes the entire community. And not to be cliches, but you know, it says it takes a village. And we just appreciate you being a strong part of the village and doing your part. And if all of us did our part, we could really make a difference. We could really make a difference. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I hope you have a great night. If there are any questions, they don't usually ask questions. Let's see. We have some comments. I don't see any questions, but if you guys have questions, Dr. Bethea has given you all the platforms where you can reach out to her via email, my phone, and all the other resources that she has shared. Please reach out to Dr. Bethea regarding any questions or concerns, or even just to congratulate the school district and anyone that you see that is doing well And thank you again. And I look forward to seeing everyone else again next week on Tips for Teens. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.